いいわ。でも条件がある。もしあの子にあなたの嘘がバレたら、それで終わり。二度とあの子に会ってはならない。約束できる？
はい。
Danmachi is back, baby. What's going on, my friends? That's right. We are back with Danmachi once again. And you know, it's a weird reunion with this show. We left off on a just incredible last season of Danmachi. I think the last season was just insanity. I loved it so much. It was definitely the anime of that season for sure. Now, as we jump into season 4, I think that's what it is season 4. The interesting thing here with season 4 of Danmachi is, you know, I'm never much of a person to watch the ED. You know, when it comes to that ending, I'm never one to just sit there and watch the ending. But, you know, there's just something about this season of Danmachi that I'm just like, you know what? I think we're going to watch it all season long. I think that they really nailed the ED. I don't know, for reasons. You know, I just think that the ED really just gives it that gravitas, that little extra, you know? Best ED of the season? I don't know. You tell me. But I'll tell you, this boy right here, this youngin', I'm going to be here all season long. I'm going to sit there through the credits because I want to give thanks to all of the amazing creators of this show. If you didn't watch that shit, it's wild. It's wild. I've never had that much fan service in the ED before, and I'm thankful for it. Like today, like I'm almost tearing up of how like just like for me. Okay. So this season, let me take a step back. As we transition from last season into this one, the thing I was looking forward to the most is, to be honest, is Ryuu and Bell's relationship to get to increase and go further. Now, at the end of the day, Bell finds himself in a pretty precarious predicament because not only does he have his top B in Hestia, he also has all these other girls in his harem, and they all truly do include Lily, Haruhime, they include Makoto, it'll include Aisha. Shit, it even includes Husbando Wolf in there, or Welf, however his name is. You know, Freya has had her eyes on, you know, on Bell, which, you know, she's obviously gonna play a big part this season, so she's gonna be a big one, obviously. You have Seer, who is, you know, obviously, you know, out for Bell. So he has like a lot of love interest, you know, when it comes to, you know, his love life. Now he hasn't moved the needle with any of them. For me personally, I think that originally my number one, which I don't think is gonna happen because she doesn't play a big role, but my number one has always been Cassandra, the girl who kind of like sees into the future. I love her relationship with Belle. I think that like outside of how Ryuu climbed to the top last season, she's my favorite character at Danmachi. I just think that she's so unique. I love her powers. I love her personality. So even outside of, you know, his main house and, you know, the girls that he goes with, you know, he has a lot of different love interests in the show. And then you have to think about, you know, even the monsters like Mary, you know, he still has her that is in his life. So he has a lot of love interest, but he hasn't moved that needle with any of them. Even the guild girl with the glasses or whatever, like she would be in that harem mix as well, I believe. Again, you know, but he has a lot of love interest. But I was really looking forward to, considering how close him and Ryuu got, for that needle to be moved. And I was, for the most part, pretty pleased because Ryuu getting flustered and her getting like not be able to look him in the eye, I thought that was a really cute thing. Now, the main plot of this season obviously is going to really center around Freya and her desire, as spoken by the people in her familia, that, you know, if something happened to Belle, she would follow this motherfucker to heaven, and she would go and get his spirit. You know what I mean? Like, she's obsessed. And that's based on the assessment of her familia, not even us as like a viewer, which I think is that's pretty obsessive. That's pretty crazy. But this season's gonna revolve around her, and then it's gonna revolve around Seer. Now, I will tell you straight up, I don't know how I feel about Seer being eligible or having eligibility for goddesshood or whatever. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about her being some potential goddess entity or in the running for. She obviously really matters to gods, specifically Freya. She obviously has some kind of purpose that is not the normal purpose of folks. She keeps calling it goddesses, so she definitely has like some kind of purpose. And Bell's gonna have to, play interference once again, similar to how he did for Haruhime. And I don't know how I feel about a similar story being retold once again. I would much rather, yeah, and I hate to say, I would much prefer maybe this Seer stuff doesn't happen. Maybe he does continue to get pursued heavily by Freya. And maybe the needle does get moved with one of the girls, whether it's Hestia herself or Haruhime, because, she's like the closest one, or she's gotten the closest, whether it's with freaking Lily, whether it does end up being with Ryuu, whatever. Like, I feel like I would much rather see that needle get moved in a different direction. We also still have Aizen What's-Her-Face or whatever. I forget what her actual name is, but we still have her, who is, by all accounts, Bell's love interest choice. I always forget about her. Even though she had her own show, which was really, really good. You should watch that. But yeah, I just don't know how I feel about a storyline or like a plot thing kind of happening again. It just gives me all the Haruhime vibes of him, saving the damsel in distress and having to fight the gods. And it just gives me all those vibes once again here. But now the god's Freya instead of what it was before. Now the character Seer instead of Haruhime. I just don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to have to watch more to get a real feeling. But my first kind of taste of it, right? Like the Sprite hit the mouth and I'm like, I don't know if I like that. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I need to see more. Now, everything else surrounding it, right? Like Lily leveling up, Haruhime leveling up, Bell having the potential to be, leveled up, but Hestia being really weird about that. Really love the Ryuu and Bell stuff with her getting flustered and stuff. I really love that. The fact that Freya is obsessed with him and how that's going to butt heads with Hestia. I love that. This little portion of what they've introduced that's going to seemingly be a big plot point. I just don't know how I feel about that yet, and I definitely need to see more. But everything else I think they nailed. The ED, it's like, you got finger licking good. ED's fantastic. So yeah, overall, I would put the first episode of Danmachi, like, hey, we're back. I would put this one at an 8 out of 10. I think that is a more than fair rating for this first episode. I love Danmachi. It's fantastic. So I think that's a more than fair rating. One of the things I want to tell you guys too is, what always skeeves me out is when people use the Japanese name for shows as opposed to the English name. Now, the English name for this one is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? But being able to just say Danmachi is just such an easier thing. But just wanted to talk about that because it's always funny when people use the Japanese name for the shows. And I typically don't either, but the only two that I do it with is JJK, because saying JJK as opposed to whatever the hell the English translation name is so much easier. And then Danmachi, because it's just easier to say that than the whole entire title. But anyways, I just want to leave you guys on those thoughts there. So can't wait to see what you guys think about this episode of Danmachi. Let me know if you're also going to be with me watching the ED each season or throughout the whole season. Because, there's just something about it. So let me know. And I appreciate you guys being here for the first episode of this season. And I'll see you guys for more. See you next week, my friends. Peace.